Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I am the host of Independent Thought. My name is Desmond Price. No matter where you are in the world, I want to thank you for giving me a few minutes of your day to hear my thoughts. As always, we have a great show for you today. Now, here are our topics. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Independent Thought. My name is Desmond Price. I am once again joined by our great friend of the show, Christopher Tracy. Chris, how you doing today?
Doing good, D. How about you?
Good. So we are here today to talk about a recent issue that's been coming up within the United States Marine Corps. The Confederate flag is now being essentially banned from all military bases that the Marine Corps are operating out of. Chris, tell us more about this story.
Yeah, it just seems like the Marine Corps is taking the overall direction that is being taken by society at large, which is we want to remove the Confederate flag from the public arena. Like anything that is publicly funded, with all the money of the taxpayers, something like a military base, things like that, they want to remove it from public taxpayer property, the Confederate flag. And that's what the Marine Corps has done. They said no longer will it be allowed to be displayed on Marine Corps installations.
Now, what does that exactly include? Is that just on the base itself, or doesn't that include the uniforms, or what are we all talking about here?
Yeah, both. On the base itself, on the uniforms, on equipment. I've heard people, will hang it off of a Humvee. They'll fly the flag off a Humvee, stuff like that. So yeah, they'll put stickers on equipment.
Okay. Now, so I'm assuming here, I don't know a whole lot about this issue myself. I'm assuming that this was a current policy for all 5 branches before this, that this was acceptable to have the Confederate flag just be a part of everyday life in the military?
Correct. It's got a really strong tradition. And one of the, I think it was Okinawa I was reading, once the Marines took it and they set up a headquarters, one of the first flags to fly on the headquarters was that.
Really?
Yes. And it was all over Vietnam. I've heard stories, people had it on Humvees, officers had it at their headquarters, and yeah.
So as of right now, only the Marine Corps has banned this. So you're saying the other 4 branches still have this as their policy?
As far as I know.
Oh, this is quite a world that we live in. Is it just me, or does it feel like some people just want to hold on to that for reasons that they cannot even explain?
Yeah, it's really good that you said that, D, reasons that they can't explain, because a lot of those people who support flying the Confederate flag and believe, it was only about states' rights and all that crap are the same people who raised hell for Kaepernick kneeling. They said that was anti-American, but his expression of, being anti-America, if you want to call it that, didn't result in the deaths of thousands of his fellow citizens.
No. Now, I have a hard time with this Confederate flag issue. At the end of the day, it doesn't make any sense to fly the flag of a nation, essentially, that we have long condemned as being just wrong. We don't sit around here flying the flag of the British, Empire, thinking to ourselves that those are our ancestors. We don't go around flying the flag of the Nazis. We're not around flying the flag of the Vietnamese. We're not flying Soviet flags around here. We're not flying the flags of countries that we've defeated, that we all agreed at one point in time were evil and wrong. And while many people who lived in the South, years ago may have been really good people, we were fighting against essentially the idea that slavery was no longer acceptable. And if we're all, on the same page that slavery was a bad thing, why is it that so many people want to hold on to the flag of states that just, were basically complaining about states' rights because they wanted to continue to have slaves? They weren't actually, upset about states' rights. They just wanted to keep having slaves. They're hiding behind that states' rights argument.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the thing, D, and you hit up on it so perfectly. Like whenever it comes up and you come across a flag defender, they always want to tell you that, hey, it wasn't about slavery, it was about states' rights. And I'm just like,
The
okay,
right
but
to
the
what?
states exactly. They were trying to preserve what institution, and they wanted to invoke their states' rights to do that.
Yeah, no, it's a joke.
I
It's
mean,
absolutely a joke.
I mean, but I don't understand like how they can honestly defend it, or just be like, well, I'm not a racist, but like you fly a racist symbol, you like racist symbols.
No, it's absolutely true. I I have a hard time with this one. I'm also a little, concerned by the fact that the that it's only just now that this is being addressed, but I feel like, like it's only with the current pressure of our society to move towards political correctness that people are finally addressing the essentially like just outright, like racist things that have been going on in our country for so long, including, the Confederate flag just being a part of everyday life. I mean, it's still a part of the Mississippi state flag.
Exactly. Well, and here's another argument, D, that really bugs me is like with taking down of the statues and then, saying that we won't fly the Confederate flag on, public property. They're like, oh, they're trying to erase history. But like, how does removing monuments and, removing symbols erase history? Everybody still knows that these things occurred. We're not
Right.
asking to take it out the history book or anything like that. We just don't want to use taxpayer money to honor or give a platform to these symbols or these statues.
Right. And you see, and this is why, it's going to sound weird, but this is why I appreciate what the Germans did. Because as soon as like World War II was over, they basically just removed every piece of Nazi, like, like propaganda, artwork, just, like everything you could think of from their country. They were like, you know what, this is a stain on our history and we're trying to move beyond it. And we're not going to allow this stuff to be a part of our country anymore. And that's the respectful thing to do, because when you're the country that, like starts the Holocaust, you should be ashamed of yourself. And you shouldn't allow people to sit there and fly that Nazi flag in your country anymore. It was a dark time in German history, and it's a good thing that they're moving beyond it. And I would think that people in this country would want to do the same. And it's honestly embarrassing that they don't want to, or at least a certain section of the population doesn't want to.
Yeah, no, and it was funny because I was talking to one of my dad's military buddies about it. And he's like, and he's from North Carolina. And just like my dad, but I mean, just it seems like there's two different North Carolinas because he was telling me with the argument. Well, when I grew up, I never associated with racism. It's like, okay, that doesn't mean it's not associated with racism. And you read the history of the flag, especially its modern history when it was put back up in South Carolina during the Civil Rights era. Like it absolutely is associated with that. I'm sorry that you didn't see it that way growing up. And this is another line I use. Well, none of the people that I've ever seen fly it are racist. I've never heard them be racist. Like that. Okay, that doesn't change anything. That the flag is internationally recognized as a racist symbol.
How
It's funny
many?
you were.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Oh yeah, no. Just to finish real quick, you were saying like yeah, Germany and other countries in the EU have all banned the swastika. And so you know what white supremacists who live in Europe use? They use the Confederate flag to
That's
identify
hilarious.
themselves. But no, they're like, well, they took and they tainted our symbol. Well, yeah, that might be true, but like that is what it means. There's no other way to say it doesn't mean that.
Right, right. Well, everyone. Oh, bless you.
Excuse me.
Yes. So the question really is, I guess we kind of tipped our hand a little bit here, but do you think that this is a policy that every other branch should adopt?
I do.
Tell me more.
Yeah, I mean, I think all the branches should adapt it. I mean, it's a divisive symbol, and like it just doesn't have any place there.
Right.
And like it's celebrating people who led an armed insurrection against the United States of America and killed lots of Americans.
The British flag is not flown anywhere in our country as a symbol of like respect or heritage or any of that or any whatsoever way. And that's because we all understand that this isn't the United Kingdom. This isn't Britain. Okay, we took our independence from them a long time ago, and there is no reason to be flying their flag anywhere in our country. That's not our country, and the Confederacy was never part of this country either. It was a state that tried to become, the country here. They failed, and we all condemn them for what they stood for. And their symbolism should be condemned and removed as well. That is my official take on this. I mean, it's one thing that if you want to keep it in the history books, I think it should be in the history books. I think that everyone should know what it was and exactly what the conflict was. But at the end of the day, just like in any other empire and any other place in the country or any other place in the world, when you lose a war, you lose the right to talk about history in the way you want to talk about it.
Yeah, no, that's true. Well, I don't know. As far as the public square goes, yeah, definitely. I don't want it in the public square, and it should be banned from there. But I do feel like people have the right to fly it privately, and some of these Confederate flag defenders do make a very good point and say the American flag stands for a lot of the same things, which it does.
No, I agree with you. And it's a controversial topic, but I'm not upset with people who fly it privately. I feel like it doesn't belong in public places. It definitely doesn't belong in public institutions like the military, like in schools, like like on
Or law
building.
enforcement, even.
Exactly. Yeah, if you want to put it in your basement, by all means.
I
If
mean, you
you
fly it
Yeah,
on your truck. I mean, I don't care about that.
I don't care if you have a USSR flag in your basement.
Yeah,
Like, that's you. But I don't want to see a Soviet flag in my school.
yeah, and you know what? And what else? The other thing that like gets me with it, like, okay, cool, yes, you have the right to fly that, but you don't have the right to tell everybody else what it means. Like, history clearly states what it means, and they're trying to defend it and trying, change our topic on it, tell us we're wrong, that schools are indoctrinating our kids, and it gets on my nerves because that's not the case. Everybody else but them sees what that flag means.
Exactly. So what are your final thoughts on this issue as far as, where do you think we should go forward from here? Do you think that this policy should be moved beyond just the military, or what do you think?
I mean, we're already there with that. I mean, yeah, I mean, all the branches should adapt it. Play pretty much, everywhere in public life where we can come in contact with that should adapt some kind of policy that, like, hey, if this receives taxpayer funding, taxpayer money, then it can't have Confederate flags attached to it.
All right. Well, now I'm going to extend this conversation to the viewers at home or wherever you're at right now. Send us a message on Twitter or on Instagram. Let us know what you think about this conversation. Chris, thanks for coming on the show today, and we'll see every one of you after the break. Hey there, Indie Thought listeners. Just want to tell you today about one of our sponsors, and that sponsor is Anchor, the program that I'm using right now to create a podcast. Now, we searched all over for different ways to make podcasts, and we decided on Anchor. There's lots of great things to know about them if you ever want to decide that you want to do a podcast. And why shouldn't you? Get your voice out there, make your voice heard. I'm sure that everyone feels a little intimidated at first when they think about, should I start a podcast? But basically, it's just a conversation that you're having just recorded. Nothing intimidating about it. And Anchor's the best place to start. It's easy, it's free. There are certain tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or your computer or your tablet. I'm on a tablet right now. And Anchor will distribute your podcast to all the best places, including Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, Overcast, a whole lot of them. You can make money from your podcast too, with no minimum listenership. It's everything you need in a one-stop shop. Definitely check out Anchor. Download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started. Again, the app is free. You can download it to any phone or go to their website, anchor.fm. Hello, everyone. Welcome back from the break. I want to take the rest of this episode just to touch on some other brief topics that have come up while talking to you, the listeners. So the one thing that people keep asking me about is, where do I get a lot of my information from? I've spoken on this in previous episodes, but I am an avid subscriber to the show called Rising. You can find Rising on YouTube. That is done by The Hill. And the co-hosts are Crystal Ball and Sagar Enjeti, I believe is how you pronounce his last name. They are conservative and progressive co-hosts who are both self-described populists, a left-leaning populist and a right-leaning populist. Their show is fantastic, so in-depth with a lot of the subjects that they go into. I watch every single day. I definitely feel more informed. However, I feel as though after watching a lot of their segments, I always feel like I wish I could just comment on some of the issues that were brought up in some of their segments. So you know what? I just made my own podcast. So now I can comment whenever the hell I want to, because that's how it works in 2020, people. Now, one of the other things I want to say is that I realize that I have a very diverse listening base from all the different people that I have asked to come check out these episodes. If you ever want to come on this show and discuss topics with me, you want to be a guest co-host for a day or just be a guest in general, everyone is welcome on this show. If you listen to my show and you want to come on and have a legit conversation, not just come on to be a troll, but if you want to have a legit conversation, I'd love to have anyone on. You can come on here the same way that Chris does, and we can have a conversation about something relevant going on in the world today. And if you do not want to come on, but you just want to just like respond to one of the conversations that we have on the podcast, please reach out, DM me on Twitter or on Instagram, wherever it is you found me. Please reach out. Conversations are always welcome. And finally, if you have any suggestions or any recommendations for episodes that you think would be good in the future, please reach out. I've had one person in particular who did have a recommendation for what they thought I should touch on in the future. Actually, no, scratch that. I've had two, and I haven't forgotten about either of you. Both of those episodes are coming in the future. I just had to put them off momentarily, but they will be touched on. I just felt like some other news had to be addressed first. Now, lastly, before I let you all go today, I do want to say that, once again, I want to thank all of you for listening. As of right now, while I'm recording this episode, we have just recently gotten over 600 downloads. I never thought that anyone would really pay attention to this show. I am so thankful for all of you who do subscribe and do come back and listen to each one of these episodes. You guys are all amazing, and I never thought that I would have an audience, so I truly am thankful for all of you. If any of you are willing to donate to my podcast, there is a way to click on the link in the episode notes that says support, and it brings you up to a new page that is on Anchor's main page. And once you get to there, you can click the little support button once again, and from there you can donate $1 to the podcast, which really goes a long way to helping us make more episodes. Thank you so much to everyone who listened to this episode today. We will have more episodes for you coming soon. All right, everyone. That is our show for today. I want to thank you all for checking out Indie Thought. Independent Thought is brought to you by your host, Desmond Price. You can follow us on Twitter at Independent Thought or at Indie, I-N-D-E, Thought. So, again, thank you all for coming and hanging out with me. For those of you who found me on iTunes or on Spotify, please go ahead and subscribe to us. Give us a 5-star rating. If you give us a 4-star rating, I'm inclined to think you're a hater. So don't hate. Thank you so much, and I hope to see you all next time.